Gentlemen, good morning everybody. I would like to explain exercise 31 where you need to use the product sum method. And exercise 31, let me just start with the first one, x squared plus 10x plus 16, and to explain how the product sum method works. First of all, we need to find a product where the answer needs to be 16. And if we have two numbers where the product is 16, we need to add them, and then the sum of those two numbers needs to be 10. Alright, so let me just have a look at two numbers, what is together 16. For example, 8 times 2, because 8 times 2 is 16. But if I add those two numbers, it is 10. Hey, wait a second, I have immediately the answer, because 8 times 2 is 16, and 8 plus 2 is 10. So we can factorize x squared plus 10x plus 16 in x plus 8 and x plus 2. And that's exercise A. Now let me just have a look at the next one, exercise B. X squared minus 6x minus 16. Okay, so at exercise exercise A, it was plus 16, and right here we need to find a product with the answer minus 16. Okay, let me just choose the same numbers, but with a negative one inside. So minus 2 times 8, because that's minus 16. If I add those two numbers, minus 2 plus 8, it is 6. And 6 is a positive number, but it needed to be a negative number. So we are very warm with our answer. So let me just change instead of a negative 2, the positive 2, and instead of the positive 8, the negative 8. So minus 2 times minus 8 is minus 16. But if I add those two numbers, then you get 2 plus minus 8, and plus or minus is minus, so 2 minus 8 is minus 6. And that's what we needed to get. So we have our answers, the 2 and the minus 8. So inside the bracket, x plus 2 and x minus 8. So we can factorize x squared minus 6x minus 16 in x plus 2 inside the bracket and x minus 8 inside the bracket. Okay, exercise C. X squared plus 8x minus 20. Okay, minus 20, let me just look at some multiplications. For example, minus 4 times 5, because that's minus 20. But if I add those two numbers, you get the number 1. Okay, and the number 1 is not close, because it needs to be an 8. So let me just look at another multiplication. For example, 10. So minus 10 times 2, because that's also minus 20. And if I add those two numbers, then you get minus 10 plus 2, that's minus 8. And there you go, right here we are very warm, because it needs to be, instead of minus 8, and plus 8. So I'm just changing the negative 10 in a positive 10, I'm changing the positive 2 in a negative 2, because if I multiply those two numbers, we get minus 20, and if I add those two numbers, you get 8. So this is the answer, x plus 10 and x minus 2. The last one, exercise D, x squared minus 4x minus 12 is equal with, alright, what do we need to put inside the brackets? Multiplications, minus 12, for example, the first multiplication what I think about is minus 6 times 2, and minus 6 plus 2 is minus 4, and there you go, that's immediately the answer. So you need to try with the table there the product, and here the sum. And that's the reason that it is called the product sum method. And this number needs to be the product, and this number needs to be the sum. So we found minus 6 is 2, so x minus 6 and x plus 2 is the answer. So x squared minus 4x minus 12 is exactly the same as x minus 6 inside the bracket times x plus 2 inside the bracket. Because if I multiply out those brackets again, then you get x times x is x squared, x times 2 is plus 2x, minus 6 times x is minus 6x, and minus 6 plus 2, there you go, there's your product, is minus 12. And if I simplify this one, then you get plus 2x minus 6 is minus 4x minus 12. And that was the line where we start with. So this is an explanation about exercise 31. Hopefully you can do the rest of the exercise with this explanation. Good luck.